Hello, everyone. Welcome, Vesper Knots, and we are going to be kicking off the Vesper Birthday AMA. Today, I am joined by Zane Huffman, and we are really excited to be here today and really discuss some of the what's happened in the past year and also what's ahead of us on the roadmap for Vesper's year two. It's been a really exciting first year. We launched right in the heart of the DeFi summer and DeFi uh, excitement. And so there's been so much that I think we've learned as a team, as a community, and really I think that we are in a great place moving ahead into year two. And really excited to be here, as I said, with Zane Huffman. So going to pass it over to him to introduce himself now.
Hey guys, how's it going? You probably see me around in Discord maybe more than you want to. Yeah, I'm excited to be a part of Vesper, and it's been an incredibly challenging, rewarding, exciting first year, and extremely confident and extremely um, enthusiastic about kind of the direction we're headed and what this upcoming year has in store.
Yeah, and just reflecting back in the first year, I think that what we have seen, and I would like to take a look back just in DeFi in general. There's been so much that has happened in the past year and a half, that it's been really interesting to see the path that DeFi's taken. And I think that what we have seen is when Vesper was first launching. We were launching at a time when there was a lot of projects that were really taking a test and production approach, really focusing on that fair launch. And there were a lot of liquidity mining programs out there. And it's been interesting to watch the evolution where we have Vesper really stood out in terms of just the professional approach that we always took. And we've seen that a lot of the other projects out there are starting to catch up and really taking a similar approach to what Vesper has always seen as the right way. Where we are starting to see a lot more organization within DAOs. We're starting to see less chaotic approaches. And so it's really cool to see just the evolution. Zane and I are actually in East Denver right now, and it's been great to meet up with some of the other teams and hear what they are working on, what their uh, priorities are, where their minds are, and just what's ahead on their roadmap. And I think that the biggest thing for us is just how well we are positioned in the space and how much we have really built a really solid foundation over the past year. I took a look at just how much we built, and it's really phenomenal the amount of products that we built. We have 32 pools that are in across the product lines now. We have a so many strategies that I don't think that it's even something that we talk about enough, where we have 3 or 4 dozen strategies at this point, and we really have built a lot where we are now in a position where we can be launching products at a rapid pace. When we launched season two, that was the promise that we made to the community, where it was we're going to be delivering at a rapid pace. We've built a lot. We have this solid foundation, and really excited to continue on our season two mission and continue to deliver the products that are really relevant for the space today. So, going ahead and kicking things off with some of the questions we've received. And there were a number of questions that we saw multiple times. So going to start there and talk about and try to hit the ones that we saw with more frequency first. And so, what were some of the lessons that we learned from Vesper's first year? So, I'll start with this one. And think that the biggest thing that we um, have seen is just how, and this goes back more to the how much this space has evolved. And thinking about it more from the tokenomics, just the growth and what it takes. And we've seen a drastic shift in terms of the liquidity mining programs where there are not as many tokens that are being given in terms of rewards and the emissions. And so that's one where it is something that is more of how we evolve moving forward. And it is just a part of the evolution in this space where we're starting to move away from high reward liquidity mining programs to having something that's more sustainable, something that is going to enable users to be more involved and more interactive within the platform. And so that's something that I would say that's a lesson that we've learned, but that's also something that is really just part of the maturity of DeFi. And so really excited about some of the work that we will be proposing soon that will be addressing some of this and how we can continue to push forward in terms of being on the cutting edge of DeFi. I think that the other big lesson that we've learned is how we should be thinking about integrations, partnerships, and how different it is in the DeFi space versus in a traditional setting. And it is really cool to see how the space comes together, how much interaction there is between the projects, how you can work together, how you can build on top, and just the collaboration there. And excited to continue to work with other projects to integrate Vesper more, as well as to integrate some of those other projects into our platform. So Zane, I don't know if you have any other lessons that you have also seen, you've learned over the past year.
I think the big thing for me is uh, the nature of DeFi has changed tremendously. Part of this is due to the rising cost of doing DeFi on ETH, and part of it is there's a lot more robust, nuanced DeFi interactions, and I think the broader DeFi user base is a lot more. They have a lot more information than they did when we launched maybe a year ago. And what we've seen with competitors like Yearn who are doing well is they're finding their stride in being the back end to these more nuanced protocols rather than trying to be that endpoint for the user. And that's something we've spent a lot of time in the past several months shifting towards. Frax is a recent emerging example of now if I'm in the Frax ecosystem, I can deposit to Vesper, I can earn yield on my Frax, I can earn VSP, and I can also earn their FXS token. That's a great way to earn premium yield if you are exposed to or interested in or supportive of the Frax community. That APY gets even higher if you hold their tokens. And I think that's the winning future for Vesper. And a lot of what we've done recently, and a lot of what we have planned in the short-term future is a pivot that's going to help us attack that crowd.
Yeah, and I think that gets into another question that we've seen is why choose Vesper over other platforms and why should protocols choose us? And this is something that I mentioned a few minutes ago, is just the number of strategies that we have built on Vesper. And this is a huge value add, and one that is, I don't think that we've communicated enough, where it's really, we've built these strategies that are very nuanced. We've built these strategies that on a single platform, there may be 3 or 4 strategies. And this is something that is a true value add, where these protocols can also really take advantage of this by using Vesper, by integrating Vesper. And it's a huge opportunity there for them, and as well as the users. And that's on top of what we already know with Vesper, where it is, we really take great pride in the security measures, the audits, the testing, and just the usability of the platform. And then the opportunities for protocols to continue to work with us by building out pools, and such as what Frax is doing. I think it's a great example of how we can continue to integrate and continue to work together in this space. So next question. So what are exciting updates and developments on the horizon for Vesper? So a big one that we are really working towards is multi-chain. So Zane mentioned a few minutes ago just the fees involved with doing business on Ethereum today. The gas has gotten to the point where it is going to prohibit a lot of users from interacting with any platform on Ethereum. And we are quickly expanding beyond Ethereum. We have already launched on Polygon. We are in beta on Avalanche, and really wanting to continue to push this and not just be multi-chain, but be cross-chain and have this be a very seamless experience for our users. So we have this, as well as a synthetic product that is very exciting, that we will be sharing more about soon. And then continuing to develop some of the other strategies, other pools. So wanting to integrate, as I mentioned, with a lot of these protocols and build out pools on Orbit as well as Grow. And that gets to another question here. Why hasn't the VVSP pool been added to Orbit yet? And this gets into just more the requirements for what we can do in terms of grow pools versus earn pools. And right now, I think that if we were to develop anything, it would be an earn pool there. But we also are really taking a hard look at what more we can be doing with VVSP in particular, and want to really push what is possible, how we are thinking about it, and how users are engaging with VSP in particular. So moving on, I think that going to pass the next question on to you, Zane. So we have received a lot of questions about just VIPs, and can we write a VIP for this or that, or can we write a VIP for burning minting, or the burning minting function, or minting, or whatever it should be. And I think that this is one where The answer is yeah, anybody can write a VIP. And Zane, maybe you can walk us through what that process looks like and how the community can become more involved in the governance process.
Sure, yeah. So, in terms of a community member writing a VIP, it's the same process as me writing a VIP, which looks like putting together a draft using the same kind of formatting that the other VIPs use, and then um, taking going onto the GitHub, the Vesper Docs repo, and putting up a pull request to have that VIP posted as a draft. And once that's done, then we can take it onto the forums and have a discussion about it, and slate it in terms of voting with the other ones. We try our best in order to combat voter apathy to batch votes together. So instead of having like a vote a week or a vote every other week, we'll do, all of them at the same time of the month. And so that's a coordination element that the team helps to play a role in. I also think that in terms of if I'm in the community, I'm not under the tent. Well, okay, I can make a VIP, but what does that mean? How do I actually do that productively? I think a lot of that will be a lot easier once we have a formal DAO framework in place. Right now, a lot of it is top down because that's kind of how new projects have to start, where the team puts out the directives, the community discusses them, and it kind of goes about that way. With a formal DAO structure in place, it'll be a lot easier for community delegates or different task force that are created to have very succinct, concrete roles in terms of different components of the project, treasury management, marketing, whatever. And with more clearly defined roles, I think it'll be a lot easier for community members to have more substantial input on governance.
Yeah, absolutely. And that has been the hope since day one is for the community to be very involved and for it not just to be a single team or a single person. It's really meant to be a DAO and to have community members that are actively writing these VIPs that are actively voting. And we do encourage everybody to feel like they can and to take part in writing the VIPs and then also then in a way, for lack of a better term, campaign to get your VIP approved. And so this is something that is essential for DAOs and for DeFi, and really hope that we start to see more VIPs written by community members. And I think that also gets into just the decentralization process and just the path forward that we had. There was a question about who is what is multi-sig and who has the keys. So the multi-sig, it's a multi-signature wallet. I'm not going to get into the specifics about who each individual key signer is, but we do have external signers that are on the multi-sigs, as well as the members that are part of the core Vesper Brewing Co. team. And so the path forward with decentralization has always been a progressive decentralization path. And the reason why we took this path is because of the user safety involved. And we really do feel that decentralization is not black and white. And if you start to think of it in terms of black and white and flip that switch too soon, then it could put user funds and user safety at risk. And we didn't want to do that. So we are taking a very progressive guardrail approach to decentralization. And we are also in the testing process for the Governor module, the Governor Bravo module. And are going to transition to having on-chain voting in the very near future. So moving on to some other questions that we received. So we have received a number of questions about centralized exchange listings, and just going to go ahead and say that this is not something that we can talk about, but we will say that this is something that we do encourage other people to also feel free to apply. This is not something that is something that just me or Zane has to be the only ones that are sitting there doing applications. So this is something that community members can and should advocate for. So yeah, that's the only thing we really can be saying about centralized exchanges. And then let's see, next question here. Once again, we also received a lot of questions about price. We're not going to be talking about price, but I will say that there has been a lot of volatility just with the DeFi tokens in general. And I think that a lot of what we can and should be focusing on is what we are doing within the platform, because the platform and token do go hand in hand, and there are so many exciting developments ahead with the platform, and so that's all I'm really going to say about the VSP price. We also have made progress with hiring a new head of marketing. We do have somebody who is helping out there. And so really excited about having her on board. And so we are going to, I think also Phil is going to be very happy as well, just to breathe a sigh of relief and have some help on the Vesper side. See, getting into some other questions. We also get into next question. So I touched a little bit on the decentralization plan. So I'll read this question. What are the details of the decentralization plan, fee restructure, and token utility changes in the upcoming VIP? And so touched on the decentralization fee restructure. We are really evaluating everything about the fee structure as it is today. I think that we have seen that the current fee structure is very much DeFi 2020, DeFi 2021, and needs to evolve to be current for a number of reasons, not just for the user experience, but also from a composability standpoint. We know that if protocols are wanting to use Vesper and are wanting to integrate Vesper, the current fee structure is not advantageous for them to integrate. And so looking at what more we can do, and this involves thinking about it just from the beginning and how we can make the best fee structure possible. And then same thing with token utility changes. So really thinking about how users are engaging with VSP on the platform and making it so that it is a more engaging experience, and users are going to be really able to benefit more from how they are interacting with the platform and platform/token. Okay, so Zane, I'm going to pass this one over to you. Zane, users want the highest APY with the lowest risk, the most comprehensive asset selection, and the lowest transaction fees. How does Vesper perform in those areas?
Good question. So there's a few different angles. In terms of highest APY, I think really our end state is going to be the stuff like Frax, where Vesper powering something else is where users get that highest APY. This is something that we can offer because of the bulletproof security of Vesper. We have by far the strictest security standards across our competitors, which includes creating the code, peer review, testnet, mainnet fork, 1x audit, 2x audit to check the first audit, alpha, open beta to production. For protocols that want to have Vesper powering their backend, that's very important. If I'm a user and I'm going to go out and earn degen yield, I'm okay to risk my own funds. Protocols cannot take those same risks. And so the security fuels the APY through integrations. In terms of what we're doing with how the security, or how the smart contracts are architected, we have a much better scaling infrastructure than let's say a Yearn. Yearn does a really good job in having a very scalable horizontal engineering organization with the way their contributor program is set up. But it's not good for building more mature, nuanced, intricate strategies on top of what already exists. Our model is focused a lot more on daisy chaining what we already have, which makes it a lot easier for us to have more intricate strategies where we hit 3, 4, 5, 6 different protocols in one go. Where, for example, on aggressive ETH goes into maker, gets DAI goes into our aggressive DAI pool. Our aggressive DAI pool sends it off to all these different locations, which could be more intricate strategies where we're wrapping into Curve LP and then staking that onto Convex. We don't have anyone that is doing that at the same efficiency that we are. And that isn't something that is displayed so much as we're building out all those different tools. But now that we have a really strong toolkit in place, we can much better chase the higher APYs, which is the other thing that protocols are looking for, security plus APY. As we're leaning towards a new fee structure, we'll be able to offer the most competitive fees across the entire industry. And we're going to simplify it down to one fee. So it'll be easier to take partner protocols and take our one fee and slash it for them. Where Yearn, they're always going to take 2% off the top, regardless of if you're a partner or not. So we have a few different, I think, a few different areas where we kind of are better off than others, and I think that's something that's important for our destinations.
Yeah, I think that Zane, you hit on all the right things and how we are really thinking about the total APY, how we are thinking about Vesper and how it compares to other platforms and just the overall user experience. And wanting to get also into some of the other questions, and these are important questions for today's times, and this is getting into DeFi regulation and just what's happening in the space and whether or not we should be and need to be thinking about the need to KYC in the future. And Vesper has and always will be closely following the regulatory discussions surrounding crypto. We are very well informed when it comes to all of these matters. And we have taken the approach that there will be a need for both a completely permissionless DeFi solution, as well as quite possibly a hi-fi solution where we are going to see the need for KYC pools, these permission pools. And we are in a position where we would be able to offer these but with our technology, with our by just taking the existing pool structure and being able to turn a selection of these pools into permission pools and offer both. And I think that this is an area that we are exploring, and how we can start to offer both a completely DeFi experience as well as a hi-fi experience. And it's just going to take time to really see how and where the regulators go with DeFi. But I do know that for a lot of the big TradFi institutions to feel like they can get involved, it is going to take a more hi-fi approach for the time being. I don't know if that's always going to be the case, but for now, it does look like we will need something like that. So let's get on to other questions. So we did see some questions about just asking what a day's like in my life, or a day's like in some of the other team members' lives. And so I'll go ahead and speak for me. A day in my life is it's always changing. It's really spending time focusing on the needs of the project, and really most of my time is spent on strategizing, and right now on business development. And so I take a lot of meetings with our new head of growth on the business development side. And this has been really great over the past couple of weeks, really seeing a lot of momentum here. And then we continue to also strategize and build out the roadmap for new products as well. And so that's a little insight into what my day's like. Since Zane is on, I will pass it over to him to share more about what his day is like.
Yeah, I'm a lot more I think community facing. So a lot of what I do has to do with going out and figuring out good communities that we can try to work our way into, and good protocols that are fits for using Vesper, working with Vesper. I also do a lot of the back end strategy work, figuring out where our best yield is, rebalancing to better strategies. Um, and then just general, engagement with the community, engagement on social media. I tend to work pretty varied hours, just depending on where these conversations are happening, where I can get in with key opinion leaders and that kind of stuff.
Awesome. And just to share more about what Jeff and Matt's days are like, Jeff spends most of his day focused on the tech, working with the engineers, and really he is much deeper on the tech and engineering side. And then I spent a lot of time with Matt on the BD side, and really in those conversations and meetings with other teams, and building out our pipeline there. So let's see some other questions. So we did see some questions about what's the future like for, or what's on the roadmap for the future in Vesper. And so, question that I see here, if all goes according to plan, what does Vesper look like in 2023, 2024? And this is one where it's always hard to say what the future of anything in crypto looks like too far out. And I think that we've seen how much the space has evolved just in the past year. And I have taken some time to really look at how much the space has evolved just in the past 6 months and year. And the key thing that I have really noticed is just how different the average crypto user is today versus 2, 3 years ago, and how users are being onboarded onto crypto is very different. So we are seeing a lot of users that are onboarding onto crypto through NFTs, through more of the metaverse angle. And so I think that we eventually, what I would love is if Vesper could be that financial layer for the metaverse. And we can start to get to a place where we're starting to bridge a lot of the gaps. I think that's the far out vision that I have. But in the near term, really, it's going to be continuing to build with the institutions that we know and love today, continuing to become more integrated with the protocols, and really building out the Vesper's core product sets that are going to appeal to these DeFi and crypto institutions. Let's see. So we also received quite a few questions about the website and feedback that has been whether or not feedback has been received and if it's going to be implemented. And I think the biggest thing is that one, feedback takes time, and Naya is very much hard at work. She and actually our marketing team, they are doing a website audit and also in going to be taking into account some of the feedback we've received. But we're also building out new products. So Naya is focused on building the UI for a lot of these new products that we have. And so some of the other features and suggestions, those take time, but they are lower priority, such as dark mode, which we would love to do, but it does get pushed down lower on the priority list just because we want to make sure that we are going to have the UI ready and available for some of the new products that we have that we'll be launching soon. Let's see some other good questions here. And that also goes to another question. So why has it taken 3 months to implement a VIP for eliminating withdrawal fees between conservative and aggressive pools? This is one where it is more than just one team that has to do a fix. It's more than just a smart contract change. It's one that involves UI updates. It's going to involve the website updates. And so it takes time to coordinate all of these efforts. But this is something that is going to be implemented in the very, very near future. So it's going to happen. So no doubt about that. We are going to take probably one or two more questions and then wrap things up. So next question here, and this is just getting into I think the team's priorities is where the team is focusing their time. Is Vesper going to end up like some of the other projects that have been launched by Block, specifically Metronome? And yeah, I think that the key here is that Metronome has struggled with a product market fit. Metronome is, I will still say, a genius of a product, but it was very much ahead of its time. We still believe in the monetary system and what it means for DeFi. And it was Block's first DeFi project. But it has not gained the attraction like what Vesper has. And we have no doubt about Vesper's product market fit. And we have various team members. Lots of team members are focused on Vesper. I spend my entire day focused on Vesper. And this is something where we, I think that we are very confident in what's ahead for Vesper. And so I don't think that it's something that we can easily compare Vesper to some of the other projects. So this is one, Zane, I'm going to pass to you. In the future, can operations be fully autonomous?
I think maybe not 100% autonomous, but as much as possible. And that's an important component of decentralization. We want as little human involvement as possible. That looks like from the products themselves that APYs are pulled autonomously and passed autonomously to bots to update balancing of the strategy, for example. Will treasury management be 100% autonomous? Probably not. That's something that probably makes sense to always have human managers playing some role in it, whether that be Vesper Brewing Company or community members or a combination of is something that I'll build out in the future. But in terms of everything that happens at the smart contract level, as much automation as possible, because that's an important component of decentralization as well.
Yeah, and Zane, I think you hit on something that's important, and an important distinction is what it means to be autonomous versus what can be automated. And so a lot of what we are doing today is, I think, getting closer to being able to be automated. And so that's a really exciting step forward. And it should also start to enable a lot more. And such as the reweighting of strategies and whatnot. That's something that we really hope can be automated in the future. So I think that wraps things up for today. And this is really it's been an exciting year, and really happy that we've been able to share it with our great Vesper Not community. And we really feel like we are going to be doing some great things in the next quarter, next year. So looking forward to what's ahead. And thanks so much for being here today, and Vesper Fi.
Thanks, everyone. Vesper Fi.